Hey everyone, this is my second week of Q&As. I've decided to do this one when I'm on a bit of a walk. So here we go. So my first question is from a very good friend of mine, Ray, who asks me what's my views on mock meats. I tend to stay away from them just because they tend to be highly processed things which are full of canola oil and things which are just no good for the body. However, I have recommended these to clients who have been eating a lot of meat and then transitioned into a plant-based diet, just because they're so used to eating something which is quite heavy and with some substance. That's perfectly fine, but the aim is you want to transition away from it, and there are so many alternatives to that. So for example, falafel is a really good way. You can use something kind of like a meat substitute. Tempeh, perfectly fine. Tofu as well, that's a really good substitute for meat. They're quite dense. Beans as well, beans and legumes. I use lentils as kind of fake mince if I'm making, I don't know, shepherd's pie or some chili. So there's so many different things you can use when it comes to, which are so much better for you than meat. So yeah, try to stay away from the mock meats. However, if you feel like you really want one, have one, that's perfectly fine. But just try to make sure you read the back and make sure it doesn't have too much rubbish in. My second question is, do you eat soy? And I remember I used to try and look at men's health a lot, and I still do, and I'm a huge advocate for it. And I remember seeing the title of, you know, how soy is bad for men, and it can affect your testosterone levels. So I stayed away from it for such a long time. However, there are forms that you can eat which are actually really good for you. And the things that I try to eat are things like edamame beans. I'll eat tempeh, and I'll also eat tofu. With them being fermented, they're easy to digest, and there used to be a thing where we used to think phytoestrogens were the things that kind of affected our hormonal balance. Now there's more and more research that's coming out, and there's two different types. There's a alpha and a beta estrogen in the body, and what we found out is commercial soy, so things like in milks and other sources, chocolate and highly processed foods, they are the ones that boost estrogen, especially in men or in females, because it's not good for either. So I tend to stay away from them, but anything that's whole food, natural, fermented is perfectly fine, and it doesn't affect estrogen levels. So try to have it a couple of times a week if you are eating a plant-based diet. Third question is not about food, which it's a good thing, and it was talking about why I train body weight when it comes to the training I do. The reason for it is I am not blessed with flexibility, and I used to get a lot of injuries when I came to lifting weights, and it affected me playing football as well. And I used to find that I used to struggle to put my hands above my head without a weight, so holding the weight and doing that was just causing so many problems. And until I could get my ankles moving correctly, my hips and my thoracic spine, and I think they're the foundations, until you can get them moving correctly, I personally don't want to be lifting weights. At the same time, I am still challenging myself. I am doing a different form of strength training, and the aim for me is to be able to do one-legged squats, one-handed press-ups, one-armed pull-ups, and do back bridges, handstands. They're all forms of strength training, but you need a lot of mobility for it as well. So I'm enjoying this, and I've been doing it for a couple of years, and my injuries have significantly decreased. I feel a lot better, I feel a lot more nimble, and I recommend that everybody should be doing this training as a base. If you want to go and do the Olympic lifting, by all means do that, and kettlebells and resistance work with weights. However, just make sure you've got a strong foundation before you do any of that, because the likelihood here is you're going to get injured. My fourth and final question is, what is it? It is, oh yes, how do you eat on a budget on a plant-based diet? Very easy to do. There are so many different things you can do for this. First one is try to eat in season. Whatever you're eating in season, because there's so much produce, it's always going to be a little bit cheaper. Second thing is, you don't need to go to all the fancy health shops and buy, you know, goji berries, which are like 30 bucks a pack. Stay away from them. You know, if you do want them, that's perfectly fine. However, it's not a necessity, so try not to if you don't want to. Other things are, try and get local produce as well. You always, if you find local farmers or farmers markets, you can go there. Be careful though, because you never know what sort of pesticides they're using when it comes to farmers markets, because you don't know how they're looking after the food. So if it's an organic one, use them first. I used to get a veggie box delivered to my house once a week, and that was $20, and that was quite a bit of food. So there are alternatives. Other things are, I eat rice, I eat, what else do I eat? I eat sourdoughs, and these are like, I mean, $5-6. If you're watching this in the UK, that's £2-3. And I don't try to eat anything too fancy. It's beans, it's legumes, it's in season fruit, vegetables, and that's about it. So I try to keep it really simple. Every once in a while I might splash out and get something a bit different, but the base of my diet comes from quite cheap produce. So yeah, that's how I keep my costs quite low when it comes to eating this way. That wraps up my second Q&A. Just want to say thank you for anyone who put the questions through. Really appreciate it. I'm learning and refreshing so much doing these. It's definitely been something that I am benefiting from, and I hope you guys are. If you feel like I've missed anything out, let me know by either dropping me a comment in the section below or dropping me a personal message. At the same time, if there's something you want to ask more privately, as I say, get in touch with me one-on-one. I am doing nutritional consults worldwide, so always happy to help as many people as possible. I'm trying to build a community here with this page, so if you're not following, I would really appreciate it if you could follow, and let's see what we can do. And as I say, I'm here to try and give you as much information as possible when it comes to eating a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. If you do want to follow me and see what I do on a day-to-day basis, I do have a Facebook and Instagram account. All you need to do is type in Beneduce and you should see the symbol which is popping up here. Just click on that and you get to see what I'm doing day to day. And my next video is going to talk about me being plant-based for a year and what I've learned, and I'm also getting a blood chemistry evaluation to see if my overall health and well-being has improved since making this transition. So it should be an interesting video. So thank you yet again for watching this, and I hope you have an awesome weekend.